So yeah, go ahead and fill me in on anything that you think I would need to know.
So,
About-
so I live alone, and
Mhm,
I've been training him, and he's really super well behaved when it's just the two of us
mhm.
walking, listening to commands. He sits, he stays, he comes, he shakes, he lies down. He's just a great dog. And but when he's around other dogs, when he sees other dogs, or when my kids come over, or anyone that he's um, not met before, he'll get wild. For my kids and other dogs, he just absolutely goes insane, and
Mhm.
and almost to the point where he can't be calmed down.
Okay,
That's really it. I think locking down that control of his emotional outbursts, so to speak,
okay,
is is really it, and then kind of honing the other skills we've taught him.
I see.
Guys,
Uh,
you have anything to add?
He jumps up a lot. Probably that. Like, what do you see typically with like dogs and like what you usually help with? Can you give a little more background on yourself?
yeah. So right now it's me and Jesse. Jesse's doing like the more like intense behavior stuff. So like the aggression, like you open that door entering a home with the dog, and like you can't even open the door all the way because they're right there like biting at you, because we have we wear the bite suit and everything, so like he does all that serious stuff, the more intense anxiety, all those things. I'm doing more like the basic obedience, so like just like commands, and then I also do a little bit of like the leash reactivity, so like dogs who are like barking and just screaming right at other people and everything like that. I have worked with a little bit of aggression, but I'm not like that's not
Yeah, he's not
Yeah,
aggressive,
Charlie's
so
not
yeah,
aggressive.
yeah. Not
yeah.
not mean. There's no mean bone in that dog's
She's
body.
just he's just very hyper, I'd say.
Yeah, he's like I said, really
He's a
well.
puppy, but it's like a lot, like more than the average puppy.
I see. I got you. Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing somebody said to me actually today, though, is he's scheduled to be neutered September 19th, I think it is,
Mhm.
and that will bring down some of his wildness. Is that
It it's different for every dog, right? So I will say this: I have seen changes, but it's not so much because of like excitement. It's more like it's weird. It's like so we had like we were social. We were socializing and working with a it's a European Doberman. So like there's two different types of Dobermans, like the American and there's European. The European was like the big working guy, right? So we were socializing him, and he could not. He was so intense. Like everything he did, he was so intense. He wanted to get in their face, and he also just could not help himself because he always just like would flip himself and try to mount the other dog, male or female. It doesn't matter. He was always just trying to mount this dog. He like it was like he had he still had he was still not neutered, right? So dogs need to mate like a lot, right? In the wild, they're always mating, they're always doing their thing, right? And he's 2 or 3 or something, and he has never mated before. So that is a lot.
2 or 3?
Yeah, that is a lot of frustration he's got, right? So he can only think about one thing, and it's just I need to get on top of this dog, right? So they got him neutered. Some time went by because he needs to heal up and everything. And then once he got fully recovered and they waited a little bit, they brought him back for socialization. He was just a completely different dog. He was like less intense about other dogs. He was just more calm. He was more collected. He was able to like kind of like think and like like, okay, who is this dog, instead of like looking at it like then just thinking one thing, right? Uh, we had another case where a dog got neutered, and then he stopped attacking the other dog in the home because of frustration. He would like mount the pillows. He would mount everything, and then he tried mounting the dog, and the dog would snap back. But then he didn't like the snap back, so then it turned into a dog fight. Once they got him neutered, he stopped all the mounting and humping and everything, and then no more fights happened because there was he wasn't as frustrated. Um, so it helps in those situations, but right now I mean, it could have some change, but when dogs are like high energy and excited, they're usually still excited, right? And then we also like to remind the owners that, like, dogs don't neuter each other in the wild, but they're also not in a position of not mating every day. Um, so that could help a little bit. It's just kind of like a play it by ear, but also like I'm thinking like he'll still have some excitement when guests come over, or like when he sees somebody he recognizes, or like someone, or just meeting people or dogs or whatever.
So,
Uh,
so let's get back to kind of what you would think for Charlie. So generally well behaved, has these emotional outbursts. We gotta keep the jumping down, get him to calm down quicker. Um, I don't mind that he likes to play with other dogs. On a leash, I've got him to the point where he doesn't tug until we're maybe 3-4 feet from the other dog. So he's staying where he should be. But it's this seeing other dogs and playing with them, especially Bernedoodles, um, and being around other people.
okay. Um, and then are you like, so are you not really looking for like commands or like
No, we're looking for commands, like more obedience and commands. We are.
okay, so you're looking for
Yeah,
obedience.
whatever you did with Zuma is like kind of what we want to
No, that's
like.
not right, Joey. Zuma.
Zuma's incredibly well trained and a great. You did a
Yeah, no,
very
no.
good
The,
job.
the
Awesome, thank you.
outcome, right? The outcome we want. It's where they entered. It's not necessarily. I don't know where Zuma entered the fray.
But it doesn't matter. He did a very good job of training the dog, and we want the same results in Charlie, and that's essentially the reason why we come to see you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, so you have obedience and then you have behavior. Do you guys know the difference between the two?
Yeah, we need primarily behavior, and
Mhm.
we need some finer points on his obedience.
Yeah, I agree.
Obedience is basically there. It needs
Yes.
to be improved. His behavior is what we're talking to you about.
Yeah. So Zuma, I don't remember, trying to think why she reached out. If she was looking for obedience or if there was some behavior.
It wasn't aggressive behavior. I think it was more of obedience.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think it was more obedience. I think they had issues with like just her pulling, and a few other things I can't really remember, as a while ago. Um, but yeah, Zuma knows a few commands. She knows heal, stay, place, down, sit, and then come. And then I'm pretty sure you already know that she's been taught all these commands through e-collar, right? So
Mhm.
our style of like good walking manners is called heel, right? We call it heel. Heel is walk with me, stay with me, sit when I stop. And this is all done with a loose leash, no words said. And if we take 5 steps with you said Charlie,
yep.
Yep.
we take 5 steps with Charlie, Charlie takes 5 steps. If we take 10, Charlie takes 10. If we come to a stop, Charlie's to automatically sit, no words said at our, if you're walking on the left side, his right shoulder should be glued to your left leg, no words said in any environment with a loose leash, right? That's how strict our heel is. And that's what we kind of get through like the first class or two, right? Um, so yeah, she knows all those commands. She's really good. She does like duration work here. She sits on like her little bed and like not in a kennel where like all dogs are going around, like people are passing by, dogs playing, and she just sits there calmly, just like takes a nap here and there, right? So she went through the daycare and train program where they dropped her off. I trained her. I did the videos for her, and then like we sent them to her and everything. And then she just learned from that. And then we had follow-up lessons, kind of making sure everything was going smoothly. But yeah, she dropped her off for daycare. We trained her. Then she got to pick her up at the end of the day.
How many
Uh,
days of daycare did you do?
I'm sorry.
How many days of daycare did you do?
I believe she went with a 10-day program. I
Okay.
believe it was either the 10-day or the 15-day, but I'm pretty sure it was the 10-day.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, yours sounds very simple. Just sounds like Charlie needs some just added discipline, some boundaries. Um,
The stuff you talked about, obedience, I don't want him pulling on the leash. I want him basically on my heel. I don't really give a shit about that other stuff. Like that's not something that's important to me. What's important is when he sees my kids, he's excited, but like situationally excited. And
Yeah.
then
I think it's still
yeah.
important what you mentioned. I mean, everything needs improvement for anybody.
Agreed.
Yeah. So, what was
Even though he's still a puppy, just
Wait.
areas of
What you said.
improvement are, should be improved.
Mhm. What was you said something like, you only care about what commands again?
No, it's not. It's I want him well behaved, but I don't need him like show dog format.
Oh yeah.
And I don't like when I'm walking with him sitting down. Like I understand the heel concept, but,
Mhm.
I mean, if it's something that comes with something else, but it's unimportant to me.
Yeah. So the
Can I
reason
say
why we
something about
love
that?
heel, I'm sorry.
Sorry. So when I was walking Charlie the other day with you, Dad, you said for me to keep Charlie on my left. I try my best, obviously, but Charlie goes back and forth between my left and my right. So I keep having to take the leash and put it behind my back and do like a 180, 360, whatever. So I think that heel is important. He can walk where you walk on your side and
Yeah,
then
but
stop.
I mean, part of
Because
that
I,
is you need to learn to walk him as well. And because what I'm trying to say to you is when I walk him, he stays there and he's used to me. And so it's part being used to you, it's part the commands themselves. And yes, he needs improvement. That's not in question.
Yeah. So the idea about heel, right? The heel is important, and it's always the first command we teach for any dog for any issue, is because it allows the dogs to understand the concept and the idea of e-collar, right? So they're understanding the pressure on, pressure off concept. If you're doing this, pressure goes away. If you're going to do this, pressure is going to turn on, right? The reason why we teach heel, right? And like, owners will ask, I'm working on behavior, like my dog barks, right? Why would I want my dog to walk nice if my dog is going to be barking, right? The idea is that heel applies so much discipline.
Yeah, I get it. It translates through to the other things you teach. I get that.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, would you start with the behavior or would you start with heel?
It'd most likely be heel, but if like, I'm trying to think, because if you're just looking to correct a behavior in the moment, right? Because I'm getting like mixed things here. Like one person wants another, the other person just wants one thing. So it's like if you're just trying to get rid of a moment, right? And if you're happy with everything you're seeing with Charlie,
I think it's a nuance. That's the priority. There is a priority. The other stuff needs improvement. I think the kids think there's more improvement needed than I do, but it's a degree of gray, not a yes or a no. So
okay, so you're looking for the obedience, right? But obviously it's not a important thing, but then you're like, well, what are we gonna do with the behavior, correct?
obedience helps get the other things in place, and the other things from my perspective, and I think for the kids, the behavior is the priority, the obedience is secondary, is
Yeah.
what I'm.
Yeah, so we'll give you the e-collar, right? You can address these behaviors when the situation arises, when it comes up. You have that tool to address certain things, right? Without conflict, not conflict. What's the word? Without confrontation, right? So without having to address things like, how do I say this? With conflict, like arguing, right? There's no argument with e-collar. All you gotta do is press a button, right?
Right.
So if Charlie's in a situation where like you need to settle down, all you gotta do is press a button and then he settles, right? We will give you other tools and ideas and concepts to have if you're not, if you're in the moment of not having the e-collar on, right? But if you're gonna have a guest come over, 30 minutes prior, you collar him up, address whatever that is needing to be addressed, And then if you find that he is settled throughout the night, you can go ahead and take it off. Right. So that's how that would work. There are exercises we do to kind of help you, really get it's a little more nuanced to kind of address the guests walking in the home and like the jumpingness and like the barking and like the excitement, energy in that moment. So that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, if you're just looking for like, were you guys thinking like in person, or like did you want the daycare and train as well, or how did you want to go about that?
Sorry, what'd you say about daycare?
Yeah, were you guys interested in like in person, or like you want to send him here for a daycare train and then the same thing Zuma went through, or how did you want to go about that?
Yeah, I think something similar to that. Yeah, to
Okay.
that effect. Right, Dad?
Yeah.
I didn't hear. I'm sorry, I was distracted.
Yeah, no worries. So were you looking for like a one-on-one training, or did you want to send
Yeah,
Charlie
yeah.
one-on-one?
Yes, please.
Yeah. So for the
I,
one-on-one,
I watched a good deal of one of the videos that you did with Zuma. So yeah, I would. I mean, we're here. We want to. I think our biggest question, my biggest question, is can you equate what the even the lowest setting of the e-collar is to how it would feel to one of us? Like what is the dog feeling?
yeah. So e-collar, have you ever been to a physical therapist?
Yeah,
Have you ever had like stim or like a TENS unit?
for sure.
That's e-collar. That same technology.
So the little thwacking, not
Yes.
not even a rubber band.
No. Right.
Okay.
So it's the same technology they use on humans, right? And we also use it the same way. So physical therapists actually ask them like, I'm going to be increasing it. Let me know when it's too high or too uncomfortable.
Right.
Client says, okay, that's enough. They lower it 2 levels down and they let the machine do its work. That's the very similar to how we do dog training, right? I don't know what Charlie's number is going to be, right? All dogs are
He's
different.
he's a drama queen, so his will be low.
It's me a
Yeah.
low number.
Yeah. So,
I mean that was my biggest hesitation with even calling, because it just seemed like a little barbaric, and we talked about it. We didn't really study up,
Mhm.
Mhm.
but yeah, you painted a picture for me. And guys, do you want it's have you had stims before?
Yeah. We understand.
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I think it's also like those like on a commercial you'll see like the guys like, oh, girl 6-pack overnight, and like they put a patch over and like it's supposed to massage your abs or something like that. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I never really looked into that way, but I know they use it for physical therapy to like for torn muscles and like massaging and everything.
And
But yeah,
just to go back a little, just to be clear, I don't want us to sound like we're saying different things. He needs the obedience, but
okay.
I'm just saying my outreach to you, obedience I could get him to myself at some point, but we're coming for this is a priority, and while we're there, we might as well have the whole thing tuned up, so to
Correct.
speak.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yes, I understand.
So
Good. So yeah, that's e-collars, a TENS unit on a collar. It's used for humans, right? Jesse likes to call it, and Jesse's the owner of the business. Jesse likes to call the e-collar a electric, but not electricity. So it's not something that's going to flow through your dog. Like I said, it's a collar and it's got like 2 little contact points. Whatever the contact points are touching is what is going to be moving. So like if I had it on my hand, you'd see my thumb start to twitch as I got higher on the number, right? These low numbers, I can feel it, but it won't make a twitch. But if I increase it, you'll start to see
where's
my
the
thumb.
training level? Prior to the twitch or at the twitch, or
I'm sorry?
where do you set it to be effective is what I'm asking.
Whatever I'm about to say zoom out. Whatever Charlie tells us, right? Because I don't our models, the brand we use is called Dogtra, and they have 127 levels, right? So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way to 127, right? There are other models and brands out there that go up to 10. So think of that power outage on 10 equal to 127. We just have so many more numbers to be more specific to the dog, the breed, the personality, the situation we're dealing with, and all these other things, right? So I don't know what Charlie's number will be, right? But he'll let us know once we start the training, right?
Okay.
And it changes, right? So let's say indoors, right? Nothing going on. You want him to sit and he's not sitting. You give a little tap. It's probably a low number because there's quiet environment. All you need is a sit. Outside, if you're at like Oz Park or something like a super or like Grand Park, like near like some more activity, his number might be higher. If it's hot outside, he's going to be more tanked out. He's probably not going to want to think about e-collar. He's thinking about like, I'm hot. I need to go home. Number might be higher. If he's playing with friends, it might be higher. If it's a calm walk and like, if you guys are in the city, if you like, I don't know, one day you move to the suburbs, his number might go lower because there's not that much energy in his environment.
So I am gonna have to tune this to what he's doing, like in real time.
Yeah. And you'll get the general idea, right? It sounds complicated, right? But you'll get like, 10, 15 is like his range on walks. And then like when I need something, and he's distracted, it's 30 or 20. That's all, right? It's not like a specific like 43 walk, 53. It's not like these specific things. It's like general ranges, right? It's not that specific, right?
Okay. One of the questions I was going to ask, but I think I have the answer, is how do you socialize him with other dogs if you're, in your facility and not around other dogs? But I think the answer is the collar tells him to stop whatever that behavior is.
Oh,
and
yeah.
listen. Yeah.
Yeah. So like we had a border and train that had issues mounting, and he was not, I'm pretty sure he wasn't neutered. And that was one of their issues as well. Like, it wasn't like a big issue, but it was like, yeah, he's also a big mounter. So we were wondering how we can address this. And it's like e-collar, right? If he's running around the park and, if he's like mounting, by the time you get there to push him off, he's already off, he got away with it. But in the moment, you can use the e-collar to correct that behavior. Or if he's running around and you're trying to leash him up and he's like, no, you can't catch me, you can use the e-collar to kind of cut that behavior. Like we're going home, this is not a joke. But you can use a remote to correct certain behaviors if he's in like a play group type setting as well. It won't make him hate dogs. It's just, you just don't do these things, right? So it'll be a little confusing at times. It's like, okay, I don't want to play anymore now, right? But then as time goes on, it's like, okay, well, maybe I was just doing something wrong. It's like here at daycare, we even like clients will ask like, hey, when my dog's playing, right, he doesn't need the e-collar in play groups, but just keep it on so that he knows that even though this is a lot of discipline, you can still play with it. You can still have fun with it. Does it make sense?
Yeah. When
Yeah.
it's not being shocked. Guys, do you have any more questions?
I think you've answered like most of our questions.
You're very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah. Some other questions clients have is when does e-collar come off? So like even post training, is it or post training? Yeah, is it on for training only and then it comes off, or how does these things work, right? So the e-collar will be on walks after training forever, right? Are you going to be actively pressing that button? You shouldn't be, right? So like my dogs are trained at e-collar, Jesse's dogs are trained at e-collar, Andy's dogs are trained at e-collar, right? We only press a button like maybe like, I don't know, once a month, and it's for like emergencies, right? Reason why the e-collar is on during these walks is because we can't predict what's going to happen on these walks, right? So let's say we're walking and everything's great and you're on a busy street and like a car crash happens or something catches everyone off guard, something sudden, a surprise. And Charlie is surprised. He's like, I need to get out of here. And let's say it catches you off guard, that he bolts and like the leash slips out of your hand or something. He's gone, right? We've heard a lot of horror stories of like, similar situations of these of situations happening where like, the owners get pulled to the ground or, something crazy like that happens. And then they have lost control, right? There's no connection. There's no leash connected to Charlie if he's running. So that's where the e-collar comes in handy, because when dogs are in flight mode, they're thinking kill or be killed. So Charlie come won't make him come to you if he's, having those thoughts, right? So you need the e-collar to override the brain of that moment for him, in order for him to kind of come back to you. And then in the home, like I said, if he's an angel without any guests and just like, just by himself, you don't need the e-collar. When guests come over, collar him up 30 minutes prior, address whatever that is needing to be addressed, and he can take it off if he's fine after that, or keep it on. Keeping it on is personal preference there. Does that make sense?
So keep it on when he's outside, and then when he's inside, depending on the situation, keep it on or off.
Correct. It's
Okay.
on when you need it. It's off when you don't need it.
Gotcha. Depending on the situation. Like if he's like a chill guy, you could take it off him, and if he's a little bit of a crazy guy, you keep it on.
Correct. Yes.
All right.
After a while, when we think he's all trained up and everything's good, I understand the what if, but if he's on leash, does he still need a collar?
Correct. Because we don't know what can happen. Like, things happen, right? Collars break. He slips out the collar, leash gets dropped, he's gone. We've heard a lot of stories. So it's good to have that on in case something happens. Does that make sense?
It's like an insurance policy.
Correct. Yes. It only takes one moment. It only takes one moment for you to realize, okay, I need this on for everything because I don't know what's going to happen. Right.
It only takes one moment in life for anything. So
correct.
I understand what you're saying.
Any other questions?
Is there any other questions that other clients ask that we haven't asked here?
Yeah. So another one would be, what's that other one? If once I take the e-collar off, why does Charlie start jumping again once I've already, corrected his behaviors? Why does he start pulling me? Why does he start going back to his old self once I take it off? Right. So Jesse likes to use an example with his clients is like, do you guys drive on the highway?
Yeah.
Do you guys go the speed limit?
Most times.
Yeah. And then what happens when we see a squad car?
Slow down.
Exactly. So it's called opportunistic behavior. It's a nature thing, right? If we know we can get away with something, we're going to get away with it. So it's the same thing for dogs, right? If Jesse likes to call the e-collar a cop on a collar. So once it's on, they kind of check themselves like, okay, I need to behave. I need to watch my stuff, right? Because then there's an opportunity for me to get consequence. So it has nothing to do with the training, the e-collar, the way you guys practice has nothing to do with any of those things. It's just a nature thing, right? Some dogs understand the concept quicker than other dogs. Some dogs think, okay, I just don't do these things anymore. It just depends how consistent you are using the collar and how consistent you are addressing these behaviors, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Trying to think if there's any other questions. Oh, how much does Charlie weigh?
How much does he what?
Weigh.
34 pounds this morning.
34. And how old is he?
He turned 8 months on June 25th.
8 months. Okay. And you said you were interested in the in-person, right?
Yes.
Okay.
The doggy to drop him off to you. Training.
Oh, that's daycare and training.
Daycare training.
Okay, so okay. So the daycare and training, like I said, everything is recorded. Once everything is done recorded, they are compiled into one video sent to you. If you're one of the exact same program Zuma did, it was a 10-day. The 10-day comes with 2 1-hour-long videos, and then also 4 or 3, I can't remember, 3 hours or 4 hours of follow-up lessons. So these follow-up lessons are, we can do a session in the home, like addressing, how to handle guests coming in the home with e-collar, or, if we can, we also review the obedience and do a review on what commands she knows and make sure because once you get those videos, you're free to practice, right? So let's say you're practicing and then we have that follow-up. I make sure everything's going great. We're good. And then we can do the in-home session. Or sometimes clients don't want to practice and they feel comfortable, right? More comfortable when they do the follow-up when the trainer is there to kind of make sure that everything's going well. And then they have the in-home session. So it's kind of like personal preference, whatever you guys want to do. There's no like you need to practice in the between these weeks. Does it make sense?
Yep. How much is the 10-day program?
10-day, I believe. Let me see here. Day was 1,600. 3 hours of follow-up and 2 videos. The 15, and we have other programs too. So it's like it goes 5, 10, 15, 20. It's just depending on how much obedience you like. But I think the 10-day would be fine for you. And yeah, and then you also have the option to buy the electronic collar yourselves or buy it through us, right? So how that would work is, you bring Charlie in for his first day of daycare training, and we have the collar already, and then that's how you bought it. It's the same price and everything. Or we'll also provide you a link to Amazon to order it yourself, so you can fidget around with it. You feel it, and then you send it to with Charlie to daycare.
Is it the same price?
Yes, same price.
We just do it with you.
Okay.
How much is the collar?
The one I'm thinking, if he's 20 or 34 pounds,
He won't get.
it's going to be around like $200. The collar.
So 1,600 and 200 basically is what I heard.
Correct. And then you can split it into 2 payments if you like as well, or you can pay in full. It's kind of personal preference. And this consultation will also be credited towards your program. Just a heads up on that.
Right. However you want. Well, you take credit cards?
We send like an invoice to like your email. But if you wanted it, it'll be to your email, and then you pay it through online like that.
Okay, cool. When can we start?
I'm pretty sure I think we have open spots for daycare and train because we're just finishing up this batch right now. So I think as soon as, so it goes consultation. I'm going to send you a follow-up email, the programs we talked about, the e-collar I recommend, the link to Amazon, or, you have to let me know if you want to buy it from us through email, and then a form that needs to be signed. It's an agreement thing. Once that form is signed and you've signed up your dog to our software called Ginger, it's our daycare software where you have to input your vaccination records for Charlie. So we need the vaccinations and a printed out, texted out, it's laid out, right, that it says fecal test negative. Once we get those in our system, right, then you're free.
I have to test his poop?
Yes. Yeah, I have a fecal test that says negative.
Okay. Negative. What are you testing for? Negative for what?
Worms, giardia,
Anything bad.
anything bad, right? You need that negative, and then we can proceed with billing and booking. So once you're good for that, we'll send the invoices, and then we can begin booking on like when you can come for the daycare and training.
It doesn't sound like this is starting tomorrow, which is good. I'm going to be out of town tomorrow for the rest of the week.
Yeah. So
we'll get all this going, and hopefully sometime early next week we'll start.
Yeah, it's all up to you guys. There's no rush or anything. It's just like whenever you guys are ready, whenever we get the information, everything like that, that's when we start.
And so 10 days, how important is it 10 days in a row? Is it 10 days over 30 days? How do you spread it out, or how should it run?
Yeah, so I recommend having, because it'll most likely be like, because I'm here only Monday to Wednesday, right? So a lot of the daycare and trains come at least Monday and Wednesday, right? Or like 2 of those days, and then they can do like a Friday if they want, or like a Thursday, right? So one client here, they did Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then they did like a Monday and Wednesday, and then they did like a Wednesday, and they took a break, they went out of town, and they came back and continued it. So it's just like whatever works for you, right? You get a bundle, right? They're not appointments or anything. So like if you miss a week, you still have those days. Does it make sense?
It sounds like this is over the rest of the summer, the last 6 or 8 weeks of the summer.
Yeah, it's just like whatever works for you, and
Okay, good. No, it's good to know it's flexible.
For sure, yeah. Any other questions?
I think I'm good.
Cool.
Yeah, we don't have any.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for the information.
Yeah. One last thing, just a heads up that a lot of one question about the daycare and training program, or even the board and train as well, is like, you know, my dog listens when the trainer's here, but when the trainer's not here, they don't listen, right? That won't happen, right? Because when I press the button here with Charlie on 30, for example, it's the same thing if you press a button on 30, right? There's no like I'm stronger or anything like that with Charlie, right? It does matter if like, how black and white you are at the training, how strict you are, right? Because if I'm really strict and then like someone else is like, kind of like, and he's like, pulling, he's not in position, but he's like a little ahead, it's fine. Charlie will associate these like, I can get away with certain things with this person only, and then he can do it. Then he knows like, okay, with this person I can't get away with it, but with this person I can, right? So it's important to be very black and white and do the homework and practice correctly, because dogs are very like they're very smart, right? So if he like, an inch can turn to 2 inches, 3 inches, 4 inches, 5, it grows, right? So if he's thinking, okay, if I can pull, right, I can probably, jump, I can do like, pee whenever I want, I can, be excited again, I can get away with certain things, right? So like one little slide can turn to other little like errors in the training. Does that make sense?
Sammy, I think this is what you were saying earlier. When you walk him, he goes to either side because he can get away with it. And so I think what Enrique is saying is part of the training is you guys need to participate, because he needs to know he can't get away with shit with you guys either.
Yeah.
Good point.
Correct. Yeah. And it'll be super easy. It's like, when we do the in-persons, right? Partner number one goes first, and they're doing all the hard work because their dog is pulling back and forth. And then we're doing all the hard work. Once we get that done, we give it to partner number two. And partner number two is super easy, right? Like I said, because when they press the button at 15, it's the same thing when partner number one pressed the button at 15. It's very easy. So that those are like the beauties of e-collar there. Anything else? Nothing. If any questions come up, feel free to email me and I'll answer them. Trying to think if I'm missing anything. Yeah, for the daycare and train for the follow-ups, like I said, we meet at Oz Park, right? That's where we're operating now. That's where we're meeting all of our clients. And then we'll do like the other follow-ups in the home to kind of see what's going on there with guests coming in.
Got it. Very cool.
Cool. If that is all, there's nothing else. It was very nice speaking with you guys. Nice to hear that.
Michael says hi. I'm texting him while we're talking.
Yeah, it's nice to hear that, people are saying good things about our training. It's very, I appreciate the feedback from Zuma, like how you enjoy and, seeing her obedience and everything. It's a good feeling. So thank you for that. And then if there's nothing else, again, it was very nice speaking with you all, you gentlemen. And then keep an eye out for that follow-up email and we'll be in touch.
Great. Thanks.
So,
Great. Thank you very much. Have a great rest of your night.
take
Thank
care.
you. You too. Have a great night, guys.
Bye, Dad.
Bye, guys.